Okey doke. Well, the first thing I think we should discuss are the SLA rules. And according to the SLA, uh, our job is mainly not what we've been doing, but what they want us to do, which is number one, um, we're supposed to look after the 200-foot rule, which means, no churches or schools within 200 feet. We're also supposed to look at the 500 foot rule, which means that there cannot be 3 alcohol selling places within that 500 feet. They say nothing about the things that we do. In other words, our visits, the way we look at the Ansel systems and the air conditioning systems, the exits. There's nothing in there that pertains to us as far as that's concerned. The exits, the signage, or anything else. Um, they're talking about leaving that up to the fire department and Department of Buildings. Now, uh, I don't know about you, but that's hard to abide because when we look at things like Happy Land, and 28 people get burned alive, and there was no fire complaints, there were no building complaints. We've got to think about where we are and who we are. We're here for the community, and I would hate to just go by those rules, 200, 500 feet rules, and not really look at the places where we're in charge of overseeing. So,
I agree, Mr.
uh,
Thompson.
well, that's thank you, Edith. But that's the way that I look at it. I cannot see not doing what we can do. We have expertise. Shrodo is an expert in Ansel systems, and we're all pretty good at knowing we've got 2 exits and we need 2 exits, but that's not in our job description. That's they're leaving that up to, I guess, Department of Buildings and the fire department. But we know of places that may even have 2 exits, but sometimes that second exit is blocked and people cannot get out safely and go to safe ground. So, as far as I'm concerned, maybe that's all they want, but I think that should be definitely in our report if we see that. We've got, nobody talks about doors that open out instead of in, any means of egress, any signage. They don't even talk about liquor licenses being in visible spots in a place. So I'm taking exception to what the SLA feels that a community board is for. Community board is community. It means we protect our people. And it means that
Joe,
yeah, go ahead.
Joe, it's Al. We just had a meeting of the executive board, and one of the things we brought up were people that have had liquor licenses in the past. Like I see Enzo's here. They've had a liquor license for quite a few years. There's no problem with the police department, no problem with the community associations. That should almost be basically a rubber stamp.
Yeah,
They've been good neighbors. So rather than to even bring them in, they should fill out the form, which is basically a very simple one. Any problem with the police, any problem with the, community association. If you guys check if the committee checks no on both of those, then just give them their liquor license without having them go through a hassle. New places of business, new establishments, those could be a little more stringent because then we have to make sure that they're going to comply with the rules of the SLA. Because I'm sure anybody who's been in business has been visited by the health department, by the sanitation department, by 18 million different agencies to come in there. So for us to go in there and go over a place like a Pasta Pasta or Enzo's or Patricia's that have been in existence for a long time and go over with a fine tooth comb, I think it wastes their time and wastes ours also.
Well, I agree with you, Al. I do agree with you. But new places, questionable places, it's sort of like the place we had last month. Sure, we were citing them for not having 2 exits. Now, that's not even in the SLA description of what we should be doing. That's something that the housing or the buildings department should be doing. But it's one of those things, and those types of groups that we've got to be careful of. We're not worried about the pastas of the world and the businesses and the well-established businesses that are there, and without a police problem and without a community problem. I agree with you. We can pretty much rubber stamp that. But
Joe,
new
when these
places,
new
questionable
places,
places, that's
when the
different.
place, for example, the one last month that we rejected, yeah, I'm sure they had to get a C of O for the place. I'm sure the C of O saw the fact that they only had 1 egress, and from what I understand, they didn't need to because the size was so small that 1 was sufficient. So sometimes when we get into things that we're not expert on, we leave ourselves open for criticism and even worse, possibly a lawsuit.
But that is possible. But if you look at this place, first of all, we had a good reason, and not just because they only had that 1 exit, but also they were a bring your own bottle club, and you're not allowed to do that, especially if you're applying for a liquor license. Now, the police have well documented that because they've been in there several times where there was liquor there that people brought their own bottle. And that they're really not allowed to do that according to the SLA rules. So
Joe,
that was one
I'm
of the
sorry,
points.
Joe, I'm going to interject. Al is
Yeah.
talking about the one in Kruger. You're talking about the one in East Tremont.
Yeah. No,
No.
Al is fine. What Al is talking about is fine.
Yeah,
I'm
he was
just
talking about the
making
one in Kruger. The one in Kruger, the little one, the small, the Spanish, El Torito
Oh,
restaurant.
yeah, that's
He's
not a
talking about
problem.
that.
Oh,
Yeah, but
you're talking
we,
about that, Al,
yeah,
on Kruger?
yes.
Yeah.
Okay, Kruger's fine.
No, but we objected on that
They
because
can
of,
barely have 1 door. They're fine. It's a small place. It's 25 square feet, if it's that. And the front door is like 15 feet from the counter. So
But we
they don't need more than 1
but
door.
we turned it down because they didn't have a second egress, and we shouldn't have.
We didn't turn that down.
Didn't
Turn
we
it
send?
down. No, we didn't turn it down.
No, we
give them
didn't
the
turn
beer,
that
beer
down.
license.
Oh, I'm sorry. I stand corrected.
Turned
Okay.
down the one on Tremont. But we
Tremont
didn't
was
turn
the only
that
one
down.
that turned down.
Yeah.
no, we turned on the one in Kruger. We objected.
Well, Kruger, we object to.
We
Yes, we
give
did.
them the
I thought we did. Okay, I stand
No,
corrected.
no, the only place we objected to was the one on Tremont. And the one on Tremont, there's very good reason that they only have the 1 egress. More importantly, 2 things. They have a second floor downstairs where they do have couches and sofas. There's a staircase leading downstairs to upstairs. And it's a small place. There's only 1 way out. And even their second egress, which they didn't have, would have been problematic because it's got piping and everything else in there. Al, you could have never gotten through there. If you were the first person through, nobody else goes through. Okay.
Excuse me, Joe. Is that a wisecrack?
No. I just want people to get an idea of the dimensions we're talking about here.
Thanks, Joe.
I'd have to crawl out and I could barely make it. But that's the only one we turned down. But that's also the bottle club. And they were cited twice, at least twice, by the police for having bottles brought in to parties while they were awaiting this process, this licensing process. So that's the place that, according to this, we do not have a say-so in. Um, That's up to the Department of Buildings, that's up to the fire department. But again, if you look at Happy Land, this is our community. So we have to take exception to certain things. Even if we were to pass something that was questionable like that, then I suggest that we also include a reason for our problems with this place. In other words, they don't have a second egress. Um,
We could also call the fire
Anything.
department and ask them to
Well, we could do that also. But anything that we have questions about, look, I took a look at all of our locations today. There are no problems with them. As far as the 200-foot rule is concerned, and as far as the 500 rule is concerned, most of them are well-established places. One place we've had some problems with, two places we've had some problems with in the past, but that doesn't fall in the realm of what we're talking about. And I know lately, I don't think they've had any problems. In the past, they did. But I think we have to do more than just the 200-foot rule and the 500-foot rule. I think we really have to, even if we have to pass these places because of our limitations on to what we can do. I think we do have to make a note and send that along with our decision to the SLA. And that's my opinion. So feel free. Anybody else wants to jump in here and talk about it, please do.
Those application that is, the clients are falling out, have all these things like Ansol, you have emergency light, you have camera, you have exit on them. Then we have to change those forms and just put the basic things that we are talking about. Before they apply for this license, they have to fill out the form. And that form have all those questionnaire in there. That's why we are asking the question on those applications.
What form you talking about, Shraddha?
The one that they fill out that says they have sprinkler, they have so many
But there's a
chairs.
questionnaire, there was a questionnaire that was, it was,
Who make that questionnaire then?
we made it. We formulated this questionnaire. We decided to do it. Community Board 11. It's not a questionnaire that is official.
So then we need to change it up a little bit and just put whatever basic SLA asks for.
But if SLA asking, why we asking second time?
Now you said we cannot ask for answer. We cannot question for the clean of the the hoods and all these things. So you shouldn't be on the questionnaire form.
Yeah, I think.
Well,
it's
the
going to be-
answer is not on the questionnaire. It's whether or not you serve food. Now, the only thing they're required to have is sandwiches and or soup. That's the only thing.
But
they're
Joe,
required to
it's
have.
there. It's there.
I
I
know
do it
it's
every
there.
month. It's there.
All right, but we're talking, I think we're talking apples and oranges. Places that have been established who are coming in for a liquor license. Again, problems with the police, problems with the community. They've been in existence for X amount of years, no problem. The new places, as Joe pointed out, then you would go a little deeper into their pedigree to make sure that it's going to be viable for the community. But those are places that have been in existence for a long time. We're wasting everybody's time having them come in and having you guys sit on committees to go over everything again. You can stay home and eat jelly beans like I am now.
Without sharing, of course. But
course.
yeah, I
Now-
agree with that. Go ahead,
Joe,
Joe.
this is Joanne.
Yeah,
Maybe we should have two kinds of questionnaires for the people who, were established and they have basic information, so we just have it on file, and then a more detailed one for the brand new businesses.
I
Well,
agree.
the problem with that, Joe, is that it'll make us seem biased. If we do it that way, like people we know and people we don't know. And I
Well,
think we want to keep this.
No, because
Well,
no,
it's
Joe, the
years,
new
like if
business,
somebody's there for years, that's just somebody that's been there for years.
and they've
you
been
know?
vetted before. In other words,
Yeah.
the older places have been vetted when they first went up.
And we have that information.
If I could suggest to the community board, I represent a lot of restaurants as an attorney. I do a lot in community board 11, 12, and 13. If you set it up as a renewal application and a new application, there can't be a bias. So it would actually make a lot more sense and actually streamline both renewal and new. I've seen them in other community boards. I've seen them in Westchester County. I'd be more than happy to help the board put together applications if they want some recommendations.
Thanks, Joe. That's a great idea, I think. I would go along with that. Is that good for you,
Okay.
Joanne? Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
Al? Trad?
I'm busy eating
Well,
jelly beans.
eat
Oh,
it.
Joe.
Sounds good to me. And
I
Al,
mean-
send me over some jelly beans. Stop playing.
Joe, the only thing I can
Oh.
tell you, you gotta make sure that we are an advisory board. And also, the only thing by law, that any establishment, either new or renewal, they have to provide us with only 30-day notice. They don't have to come in
yeah.
front of the board, they don't have to fill out the questionnaire. By law, that's what they have to provide us, the 30-day notice. So we cannot deny, I'm sorry, let me repeat myself. This is the correct wording. We cannot object about their liquor license because they don't show up in the meeting. We cannot object if they don't provide us with a questionnaire. We have to be
Yeah.
clear on that.
No,
100%
that
correct.
should be in there, definitely. I think
Okay,
I
just
agree
want to
with
be
that.
clear.
I don't know, my computer's going haywire. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
and you
Joe.
can, go ahead, go ahead.
Joe, we're hearing you.
Yeah, you can't see me though, right? My computer just
No,
bounced
no,
out
sir.
of there.
That's a blessing.
Okay, even if you can't
I owed
see
you that
me,
one,
you can
Joe.
hear me. But okay, so that'll be part of what we're gonna do, and that should be in the minutes. That we will have the separate applications, a renewal and for new places. Does everybody agree with that? Or anybody disagree with that? Okay, then I make a motion that we do it that way. Second,
Second it.
all those in favor,
second
all
it.
those opposed? Okay,
Aye.
Rod seconds
Aye.
it. Anybody opposed? Okay, then. We got that off our chest. We can keep going now. Enzo's, let's go by our places. Enzo's, of course, on Williamsbridge Road, 1998 Williamsbridge Road is, of course, a renewal. It's been there forever. And there's no problem there with the 200-foot rule, the 500-foot rule. And if the police have nothing to add to that, we have no reports of any problems there. Would you like to make a motion?
Joe, can I say something before you make your motion?
Go ahead.
Can I ask Enzo's when that cement barrier is going to be taken away, if it is? In the street?
The barrier will be removed. We're in the process still, again, with these new laws, with the, not laws, I shouldn't say that, the new statutes and the continued outdoor dining, which has now been permanently extended for most of New York City, or if not all of it. Our goal is to remove it as soon as possible. Do we have an exact date? I do not, and I can't give one to the board at this time. We still do have it up because there is an outdoor setting. I have recommended as their attorney that keep a barrier up for liability purposes. As everyone's seen throughout this pandemic, there have been horrific accidents taking place with outdoor dining. It is a safety issue, and it was a requirement of the SLA during the pandemic. With the restrictions lightening, I have advised my clients that it's time to make the call to remove the barriers.
All right, thank you. It takes away parking in the neighborhood.
Agree.
Agreed.
I know, we totally agree with that.
Oh, Joe, but I think that,
Yeah.
that you guys have already the extension on the sidewalk. So you still gonna need the barriers on the street?
From my understanding, again, with the restrictions being lifted, and with the permits being filed with the city of New York for the outside, I think we'll be able to remove those. That's my understanding with the conversations I had with the building department, and with some representatives at the SLA.
Okay,
Again,
thank you.
my concern was liability.
Right.
Injury, and I'm 80% there. And my recommendation to my clients at this time have been that they can remove it. If something does change from the SLA, I cannot have it removed for the safety
Okay.
of diners.
No, because I think when it comes about sidewalk permits, which they're gonna probably make it mandatory, so whatever the building has been done on the sidewalk, it may remain as it is. What Mr. Press is talking about is the blocks, the concrete blocks on
In
the
the
street.
In the street, yes. And that's,
Yes, so that has no purpose anymore, I believe so.
and you're correct. And that's why I've given my clients again, not only because of the structure and everything else with the outdoor dining rules as they're set, and unfortunately, we do have to play by rules and rules get bent. When you pull something too fast, the liquor authority makes a statement. And I didn't want my clients to be that statement made, but I have recommended at this time to pull those barriers, and that will be done shortly.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Okay,
Thank
would you let us know when that is done?
1,000,000%.
Yeah, would
To
you
the-
let the board know when you're removing those?
100%. I will send. I could text. I could email Chris, and I will send overnight package with a notice that we're removing them.
Okay. So back to our voting. Is there anybody against this? Okay, so NZO's is fine. Jay's Tavern
Thank you.
at 1556 Williamsbridge Road. Again, Jay's Tavern, I know in the past, a few years ago that they did have some problems. But again, the 200-foot rule, the 500-foot rule is fine. If we haven't had any difficulty with them in the past 2 years, which I don't think we have, then I have no objections to Jay's Tavern. So could I get a motion on that? Well, first of all, are the police present?
I don't think so.
No.
I
Okay.
don't
they
see
were
them,
answered.
Joe, but the lieutenant, he had nothing against any of the establishments that are on our agenda.
Okay. So I have no objections to having no objections to
I'll
Jay's
make a
Tavern.
motion.
Please.
I'll make a motion to allow them to extend the permit for Jay's Tavern.
I second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Our next one is La Casa del Cafe Limited. And that's at 1036 Morris Park Avenue. I saw nothing wrong there at all. Of course, they fall within the 200-foot and the 500-foot rule. Does anybody have anything negative to say about La Casa? And this is a renewal also. And again, the police have nothing negative to say about them. So would somebody like to make a motion? La Casa del Cafe.
I'll make a motion for the La Casa del Cafe.
Do I have a second?
Extend their
I'll second.
permit.
I'll second.
Joanne seconds. Any opposed? Okay, then the motion passes. Mr. Hughes at 2115 Williamsbridge Road. Again, a long-term establishment. In my memory, I've never seen a problem there. I don't think there's ever been a problem reported there. Again, the 200-foot and the 500-foot rule is fine. So, if anybody has no problems with it, or if you do, please speak up. But if you have no problems with it, then, the motion is that, we have no objection. Do I have a
We
second?
make a motion, sir. I second it.
Okay. Anybody opposed to that? Okay, motion passes. Portofino Cafe Corporation, 208 Williamsbridge Road. Portofino is also a long-established business. And of course, police have no problems with that. I don't think anyone in the community, you get any community reports on any of these, Chris?
We
Chris?
don't have any issues with that. No, we don't have any issues with that. We
Any
had in the
discuss-
very, very, very beginning of their life, but after that, we never had any problems.
Okay.
Question,
Okay.
this is all. I have a quick question. This is Darrell Bowen. Good evening again to everybody. I just wanted to say, Chris, have you seen any reports of any new businesses that's been coming into our district, into our community board district?
It's on the agenda, two of them
We have
that
two.
supposed to be.
Yeah. We have
Got it.
two. We're gonna go into those right after.
Well, let's
Portofino.
consider them new, but they are the same one. Anyway,
Got it. Are they gonna introduce themselves to the board? Anything like this?
I've notified them. I don't know. One of them supposed to be in.
Let's ask, is anyone here from Primo's Restaurant Corporation, 698 Allerton Avenue? Well, I know well, we didn't finish with Portofino. So we need to vote on Portofino. Anybody has any objections to Portofino?
No.
With that being said, the motion is that we have no objection to Portofino Cafe. Do I have a second?
I
I'll
second
second.
Joe.
Okay, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion passes unanimously. Now for our new liquor license applications. JR Primo's Restaurant Corporation, 698 Allerton Avenue. I don't know, Primo seems to have been there forever, but I guess they have new ownership. It's right on the corner of White Plains Road and Allerton Avenue. I know we've never had any problems out of that corner. Chris, you have nothing over there, right? Chris?
Not recently. We don't have any issues recently. I remember about 3-4 years ago.
Joe, the lieutenant is in.
Oh, the lieutenant's been fine. Let's ask the lieutenant. Lieutenant, do you have any problems with Primo's Restaurant Corporation, 698 Allerton Avenue?
No, no issues.
Okay, they're usually a pretty well-run establishment. They've been there for years. So I have no problems with them. And I'd say in light of that, of course, there's no schools or 3 liquor establishments or religious institutions nearby. So I make a motion that we have no objections to JR Primo's Restaurant Corporation. And do I get a second on that?
I second it, Joe.
Okay. Any opposed to this? Hearing none, the motion passes unanimously. JR Primo's is fine. The Morris Park Inn, which is right across the street from our headquarters at the community board. That's at 1024 Morris Park Avenue. And they've changed hands several times. Chris, you can look across the street and tell me if there's been any problems over there.
Nothing at all. Actually, we have the lawyer,
Yes.
Kathleen Stathopoulos. She's
Hi.
present.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we
We hear
can.
you.
Most certainly.
Good. Okay. So just a little brief history on this. The current licensees there are Joseph Lacera and Stephen Poli, and they got their license with your approval back in November of 2019. Now, Stephen's going to buy out Joseph. Typically, we would just do this as a corporate change application, and since it's less than 80%, we wouldn't really come before the board. But Stephen decided to open a new corporation, so because of that, we have to do it as a brand new license. So it really is, the licensee is really the same person or one of the same people, and there's no changes to it whatsoever.
Okay. Thank you very much. And what's your name?
Kathleen Stathopoulos. I'm the attorney that filed the application.
Thank
Or I
you.
haven't filed it yet. I will be filing the application.
Yeah. The police department, have you had any problems with Morris Park Inn? Old or new?
He's mute.
Oh, he's mute?
Unmute.
Unmuted?
Yeah.
Do you hear me now?
Yes, we hear you now.
Yeah.
No, we've had no issues with them. No issues recently or later history.
Okay. So hearing none and no objections, I make a motion that we have no objections to the Morris Park Inn. Can I get a
A second.
second? Okay,
I'll
Shadow.
second.
Joanne seconded.
Okay, anybody opposed to this?
Nope.
Okay, hearing that, also a unanimous, okay.
Thank you.
Now-
Thank you. Have a nice evening, everybody. Thank you.
You
You
too.
too, thank you for coming in,
Thank you.
and good luck.
Thanks for having me.
All
Bye.
right. We have a gallery session. So who's on our gallery? Do we have anyone in our gallery that
Hi.
hasn't spoken?
Yes. Hi, this is Sergio. Good evening. I just wanted to say very quickly that I really appreciate the job and the thoroughness with which this committee does its due diligence of the community by vetting each and every business. But one thing that I would really love to see in this committee is more reliance on quantitative data. What do I mean by that? I mean, looking at the number of 311 calls that a particular business receives in their lifetime for any noise complaints, looking at other police reports and integrating that information into whatever evaluation that you guys give. Anecdotal evidence is fantastic, but I think a reliance on more quantitative data would be great for research purposes, let's say 5 to 10 years down the road, if we were to do a study within our community board to see any particular types of trends or practices with respect to a business and its liquor license, would only help to provide more targeted I guess, remediation in terms of what areas across our board need more particular attention or focus on with respect to a liquor license and a business. Thank you.
I'll tell you, I like that idea. We have the police here, so for any major problems or any breach of the rules, but I think the 311 calls, I think that's a pretty good idea, because then we can judge whether or not that we're looking at a place that just slipped under the rug or not. So yeah, I think we're going to do that with the 311 calls. Very good.
Mr.
And what's your
so, Mr.
name?
Oh.
I'm sorry, what's your name, sir?
Sorry, Sergio, Sergio. Thank you.
So yeah, I think he actually makes a valid point. So then should we also be asking for like police reports then, or of any incidents as well, and keep them on file? Like, I mean, because then, you know, like because he's suggesting that we shouldn't be relying on like oral representations and more, you know, hard evidence, I guess.
Yeah, sure. So I don't think I said we shouldn't rely. I said in addition to the anecdotal, which I think is important, we should supplement it with the quantitative. So
Right.
having the numbers in addition to the anecdotal only strengthens, right, our assessment of a particular business.
Well, we
So
do
maybe we
have,
should be asking for the incident reports, no? In the last 2 years or something?
yeah, we do have those. And actually, the community board itself, Chris, collects any information that the police have concerning a particular location. So we do have those files. We don't have the 311 calls, I don't think.
And Joe, the local associations also will let you know if they have any problems within the community.
I think that's an excellent
In
idea
other words,
also.
right,
Well,
we
sir,
would get calls. I'm sure Allerton Avenue merchants would get calls if there was a problem in their community.
Thank you,
this
Al.
is
That's a
over-
good idea also.
The
sir,
49 precinct has always been forthcoming with any incidents or any altercations at the locations or near the locations. So they've been doing that for years with the Economic Development Committee, and they've been very good at giving us all the information we need for these locations. I understand maybe you guys want paper reports, but I'm not sure if that's something that the 49 precinct is able to give to us, but they do always give us all the information we need when we ask for them about certain locations.
Yeah. But you know, I think a record and a written record is a good idea. So we'll talk about that in the office, about getting records and keeping a file on these different locations. I think Chris already does that though, because anytime I ask him for any information about complaints and police action, he pretty much has it at his fingertips. So Chris, is that a fact?
Well, the only thing that we pile up, it's if any problem with the police. And also, if we get any information or any complaints from the community associations, and we contact 49 Precinct and we talk directly with the lieutenant of operation. In this case, is Lieutenant Carrasquillo, and we meet often, and also with the sergeants of NCOs. When it comes to 311s, that's going to be because you're going to complain about what, for example, with 311?
Sure.
Cleanliness, if it's not cleanliness in front of establishment.
Yeah, that cleanliness and also noise complaints also, right?
Noise complaint, you got to understand, no longer the cabaret license exists anymore. You don't need the cabaret license, so you can have a live music inside. So first, second, since the pandemic and we're going to have the outdoor cafes, people are going to be loud when they're going to sit outside. So what 311 complaint are going to do about noise? I don't understand.
So I think what I'm referring to is quality. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, DJ. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I'm sorry. So I think what he's trying to say though, Chris, is that like if people are complaining, it's indicative of how the community feels about the establishment, right?
Exactly. Quality of life. Exactly. Yes.
So quality of life again. We're going to have outdoor cafes.
My only concern is this though: how do we get do we get immediate access to do we have to FOIL the information, or
we can FOIL information only if a establishment is being problematic. But if we can start with everybody and their mother in our district with 311, first of all, we're going to all electronics nowadays. We're trying to save as much paper as we can.
No, so you could actually do much of this information is already open data. It would just be a matter of getting the right coding in order to pull out, let's say, the name of that business within the open data, so that we can isolate any noise complaints for a particular address or a particular business name. And that's something that I'd be happy to work with anyone with in order to get that information.
Also, with that, we're going to be a little bit careful. Hold on.
One body at a time.
What I wanted to say, let me chime in. This is Darrell Bowen. Yeah. What I think Sergio's alluding to is like a digital infrastructure, which I think New York City does not yet have in regards to this particular information. How you pull reports.
Everybody has it. Citywide, it exists.
Oh, it does exist.
Yes, but the point is, we're going to be careful when it comes to about gathering data, because maybe a lot of people that might have a grudge for X, Y, and Z business. And they start
Right.
making anonymous 311 phone calls. Then we
Right.
decide what? To close that business?
No,
First,
Because I know,
first,
I know,
no,
I
but
know, I know,
hold on.
Hold on
I'm
one second, 1 second.
I know they had an open line for people reporting COVID situations, like for instance, like a barbershop, is not wearing masks, or
but
the
now
whole
it
people.
doesn't exist anymore. The state opened it.
Right.
So there it's gone. Now we're talking
Oh.
about cafe. People being outside drinking beer, drinking whatever. You cannot put 311 because it's outdoor cafes. People going to be allowed outdoors. That is gone too. So when it comes to cleanliness, sanitation goes over there, sees that you have pieces of paper, garbage from 9 to 11. If you don't clean it, you get a ticket.
Got it.
Done deal. What else? Cleanliness, it's Department of Health goes over there, finds out instead of getting an A, you're going to get a B or a C, or they can shut you down if they see rats, whatever, droppings, rats, whatever. Veronica can attest on that when it comes to small businesses right over there in Alderton Avenue, that often they think that they're being discriminated. That is gone too. Fire department goes over there every 3 months to check the fire extinguishers. That is gone too. So what 311 we're going to talk about?
So I think that maybe perhaps what you're suggesting is not necessary, or what you may be advocating for is a particular treatment of the data. And I think that that would be part of whichever methodology you use in order to assess the data, right?
We usually assess the data only and if a establishment, it has been problematic. I'm going to bring one, and everybody here in this panel knows about. If you remember, Club Karma used to have issues over there, like left and right, from shooting to prostitution to drugs and things like that. Right then and there, we used that, and that place was closed. But to start with an establishment, just for the sake of it, I think it's the loss of time, man hours, and all the agencies that can deal with issues that are more important than when it comes to about just, let's say.
Why don't we do this then? Why don't we put that obligation on the person applying for the liquor license? Let them provide the information.
What
The
information?
quantitative data.
I agree. That's even better.
You know what I mean?
Tell me how many number of complaints you have had in the past 5 years
Yeah.
by going on the database and looking at it. I think that's
Okay,
I'm sorry.
so,
Wait, let me,
that's one
hold it, hold it, Chris.
Too
Chris,
many
Chris,
people
Chris.
talking. You can't. It's breaking up.
Wait a second, hold it. That's not practical. We're gonna take the suggestion under advisement, and Chris and I and the committee, we're gonna have a nice little meeting, and we're gonna see if we can put anything together. But again, both arguments are very good. I know we'd like to know what's going on and what the people think in the area, especially the people that live here. But also, we've got to think about time. We've got to think about people who have a vengeance for places. There's a lot to consider. So this is not going to be considered right now because it's going to take too long and too many people have to be involved in this. So we're going to put that aside, and Chris and I are going to meet on this, and we're going to talk about it, and then we'll bring the rest of the committee into it. Okay, so we're going to leave it there. Okay, Chris?
I agree. It's gonna be great if we're gonna have somebody that has background in law when it comes to this matter. I would love to, because they have to open some books before we get getting sued for pinpointing to the people establishment. So we gotta be careful on that. All this
That'll
gotta
be
be careful.
part of our
Nowadays,
discussion. Okay, we're going to let it
Right.
stay here, fellas. That's it.
okay,
And that's the step we're going to go forward with. Now,
Okay, Joe.
let's see. I think that just about does it for us. Do we have any other speakers? Okay, does anybody from the committee want to say anything? Okay, if not.
I looked at the agenda, Joe.
Mhm.
So you and Chris said there was new businesses in the into the district.
Both, yeah.
Because it sounds like they reorganized, like classification, like business wise.
Well, it's sort of new business, but
the
not
first
not
5 were
businesses.
renewals. The first 5 were renewals. The last 2 are new business.
Got it,
Even
got
though
it.
that they have
That
existed
was
before.
renewals,
Right.
but not really new. They were here, again, we had one change of ownership, partnership to sole owner and that type of thing, but that's all the business we have at hand today.
So on I'm sorry, Joe, I apologize for interrupting again. On what
ahead.
Durrell is saying is that if you're willing, we can invite every month one of the heads of business improvement districts. So we can start next month. I'm sorry, not next month, September.
Right.
If possible, Veronica, can Jean attend in September and talk about Allerton Association, International Association of Merchants?
Because I was just curious about
Yes, absolutely.
the new businesses.
So we can,
that-
yeah, we can have, right, I'm sorry, Durrell, we can have each month one of the heads of this business improvement districts that they can come and talk about the situation on their business improvement district corridor or whatever you might call it.
Let me widen that just a little bit. Let me widen that just a little bit. Because I sat on the White Plains Road bid board for several years when I chaired this committee years ago, and they would be open to having one of our members sit in. So if anybody would like to sit in on any of the bids or merchant association meetings, I'm very sure they would be happy to have us. So
I
just
would
put
love
your
to
name
sit
in the
in.
hat and
Yeah.
and I'll open the door. Edith, you'd like to sit
Love-
in
I
where?
would love to sit in.
Allerton?
Or like is Morris Park maybe because it's easier. I don't care. Whatever is whatever.
Morris Park, I sit on their board, so if you want to sit in on the meeting, just let me know.
Yeah, Al, the same, likewise, this is Darrell. Likewise.
Okay, yeah, just let
White
me know.
Plains
And I'll-
Road.
In
White Plains
regards,
will let you sit in.
Oh, there's a White Plains Road. Yeah, I like to sit on the White Plains
Yeah.
Road. Sorry,
Okay. Edith,
because I
White
think it needs more. It needs to be a little more refined. White Plains Road.
right. And in the midst of the recovery, like, cause a lot of businesses shut down, as we all know, in Morris Park, White Plains Road. So I'm really interested to see what new businesses are coming in and the opportunities and what value they're going to bring to our community.
Okay, so let's do this. Chris, can you find out when these organizations are having their board meeting?
I can do that.
Okay, and we'll
If you
ask
can send
them
me
if one of our members can sit in. They would be very
If you-
happy to have you.
Joe, if you can give me the contact for White Plains, because I don't know who it is in White Plains. I know who is in Allerton and I know who is in Morris Park. I don't know who is in White Plains.
Okay, I'll give you the contact and I'll give you the number.
Sounds good.
Okay,
We'll talk tomorrow about that. Yep.
all right.
Allerton doesn't have it, but we have a merchants association and we meet every first Tuesday at 7 o'clock at the Sands next to IHOP on Allerton. Everyone's invited to come join us if you want, if you like, any meeting, anytime.
Okay,
Great.
so there we have it. And who are
Thank
the
you,
people?
Veronica.
I know Edith wants to go, Darrell wants to go. Who
Yeah,
else
I teach
wants
on
to
Tuesdays,
sit in?
so I can't do Tuesdays. But you said Tuesdays at what time?
Tuesdays at 7 o'clock, every first
Yeah.
Tuesday.
Okay.
So Edith wants to go, Darrell wants to go. Anybody else wants to sit in on one of these meetings?
I would love Morris Park because I already sat in on one of the meetings and it was really
Okay.
good.
All right. So we got 3 places covered. How about Tremont? Anybody want
They
to
have
sit
a-
in on Tremont?
That's not us, Joe. That's not us. We are the southern part. I'm
Well,
sorry,
yeah,
the northern.
parts of it.
Yeah, but only a little bit. We're only in the northern part.
Well, that's part of it. So let's ask Tremont also. Okay, and now that has to be on the table and ready to go by our next meeting. All right? So Does anybody have anything else they'd like to speak about? If not, then let's adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn. Need a second.
I'll second.
Thanks, everybody, for, you do a great job on that committee. Thank you.
Thank you,
Well,
Alex.
thanks for sitting in.
Yeah. Take care,
Go.
everybody.
Thank you. Good night, everybody.
Time 8:23.
Thank
All
you,
right,
Chris.
guys, take care. It's good seeing you. Well, seeing you for a little bit anyway, but it's good hearing you.
But we didn't see
Take
Joe
care,
tonight.
get home safe.